one more minute. I got a talk this morning. Anyone else? Okay, shoot, I think I'm gonna get us started. Thank you everybody for joining us today. Before we get started, we'd like to begin our event with the important land acknowledgement. It is important to acknowledge the land that we have the privilege to speak from. Canada has a history of colonialism, which has impacted Indigenous people in immense ways, especially Indigenous women and children, and we need to continue to work towards a better future where the First Nation, Inuit, and Métis peoples' languages, traditions, and cultures are taught, honored, and celebrated. Today, I acknowledge the land from which I am speaking is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat peoples, and it is now home to many diverse First Nation, Inuit, and Métis. I also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by the Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and we are privileged today to be able to enjoy the benefits of this land, which supports all that we do. Thank you. And if you're not in Toronto right now, there's a link in the chat to show you which land you are speaking from. Over to JCC.
Thank you so much for that, Jessa. Our Creative Morning team would like to acknowledge that there are a number of troubling incidents globally and locally that are affecting our hearts, our communities, and our overall well-being. Whether it's land sovereignty, foreign conflict, or the many personal issues that we face day to day, we encourage you to take care of yourself and one another. We ask that you show up responsibly and lovingly. This month is Pride, a celebration of the 2S LGBTQIA plus community and their fight for equality, while also being an open expression of love, art, and each other. From the unjust police brutality and arrests during Stonewall, the bathhouse raids, and continually throughout the world, the Orlando nightclub shooting in 2016, we acknowledge that there's still more work to be done in this world towards true safety and equality, especially towards marginalized communities. The 2S LGBTQ plus community has been on the front lines fighting for the freedom to love whomever we choose. Though this month is marked by festivities, parades, art shows, and celebration, it is important for us to take a moment to reflect, honoring the two-spirited, queer, lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, intersex, asexual, and many diverse folk that have paved the way towards a better society. Because equal rights benefits all of us. At Creative Mornings, we gather to be together to inspire and create beauty amidst moments of uncertainty. We are emerging from the global pandemic as a community, standing to support one another. We are in service to each other and to your creative lives, a life filled with bravery, honesty, and purpose. So we honor you now and always. Over to you, Emily, for a manifesto.
UJCC. I'm going to be doing a little bit of reading now. I'll go over the manifesto and then I'll jump into this month's theme. So community is what brings us together, and I would like to share Creative Mornings manifesto with everyone to remind us why we show up to events like this. Everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections and learning from others, in jazz hands, virtual claps, and virtual snaps. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world. And in the spirit of community, we want to celebrate the diversity of the LGBTQ plus community, like JCC mentioned, and wish everyone a happy Pride Month. Now I will talk about this month's theme. So June's theme is wilderness. We travel to the edges of our known world to wander, to lose ourselves, to commune, to commune with the wilderness. Dappled light dripping in through the forest canopy, insects buzzing as feet squelch through the wetlands, inhaling the hot, dry air and endless skies of desert. We long for this. Some of us seek enchantment and estrangement here. Some of us call it home. Our Chattanooga chapter chose this month's exploration of wilderness, and Holly Chastain illustrated the beautiful theme. Back to you, JCC.
Awesome. Yeah, so now it's time for all of us to connect and chat in breakout rooms. So there is a Japanese concept known as Shirin-yoku, otherwise known as forest bathing. It emphasizes immersing yourself in nature, away from the hustle and bustle of urban life and digital devices. By being present with yourself, you're able to see, smell, and touch nature. There are marked benefits in the physiological and mental health, like a reduction in anxiety, stress, depressive tendencies, and fatigue, all while boosting your overall vigor for life. So according to sciences, these common effects can help us prevent many chronic diseases later on in life, like cancer and heart attacks. So for the next 5 minutes, we would love for y'all to chat in your groups of 4 to 5 people and talk about how you escape the concrete jungle. And so this could be going to the waterfront, watching the waves, going along the Downriver Trail, listening to the wind blow and rustle the leaves, or maybe even getting out of town and heading to the closest provincial park near you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce you to our speaker. Formerly a journalist writing for publications like Toronto Star and The Coveter, Chelsey Burnside is the co-founder, executive creative director of Studio Sophomore, a creative agency based in Toronto. She works in the wild, wild world of advertising and has worked with clients like Bumble, Maduri, Sony Music, Milk Up, Shopify, just to name a few. Chelsey has helped bring the content-focused branding and marketing to the forefront of modern advertising. In addition to her creative work, Chelsey also is the founder of Good Weekend Co., a curated guide to the best stays, eats, and experiences within 3-ish hour drive of the city of Toronto. I am so incredibly lucky to call this witty, talented, beautiful soul one of my oldest friends, and I can't wait for all of you to meet her. So without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Chelsey Burnside.
Thanks, Jessa. Love it. That was the warmest welcome ever. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, we can jump into it. Thanks so much, AJ. I feel much more awake than my coffee right now after that. So we can jump in. So my name's Chelsey, and as Jessa mentioned, I am a former writer, current non-entrepreneur, I'm calling it, which is by definition an accidental founder who thought that they would be a forever freelancer and have somehow found themselves running a company. Every single day is a new adventure, but let me start with a little bit of a PR approved bio, aka our publicist has said that this is okay to share. So Chelsey is a partner and executive creative director at award-winning and advertising and content production company Studio Sophomore. She has led campaign creative for brands like Bumble, Maduri, Rakuten Kobo, General Assembly Pizza, et cetera, and launched hospitality brands like Wander the Resort, Arcana, and Good Weekend Co. She had her first front page article in a national newspaper by age 21. And by the time that they were 30, she and her partner Kanan had built a multi-million-dollar agency with about 18 full-time staff. She currently resides in Riverdale, Toronto, and has a German Shepherd named CJ. So, pretty damn impressive, right? Well, let's flip to our real bio here. So let me read off of the screen because what you see is not what you get some of the time. So Chelsey is extremely burnt out after 6 years of building the proverbial airplane while she's flying it. She is a chronic people pleaser whose computer desktop has been described as apocalyptic. She has read at least 40% of the pages in each of the books she will recommend in this presentation, but reality TV series like with an average IMDb score of 2.4 out of 10 are her current primary source of inspiration. Temptation Island is currently on the rotation. At age 26, her lack of on-set experience was directly correlated with the loss of a $50,000 camera and a good amount of footage on it on a car commercial. She regularly exceeds the doctor recommended maximum number of glasses of wine per week, and her hobbies include work and her dog exclusively, who is, as of this writing, objectively more successful than she is. This is his latest viral video. It has 6.4 million views and 1.2 million likes. So if you ever want a humbling, humbling reminder of what success looks like, just look at my dog. I wanted to start here because not only are introductions like this imposter syndrome inducing and super cringy to write in the third person, but they're also obviously a highlight reel of accomplishments, outcomes, and end games. But especially in the spirit of this week's Creative Mornings theme, which is wilderness, they're also so not what the creative experience or enterprise is all about. Over the past 10 plus years working in different corners of the creative industry, I've learned the hard way, the easy way, all of the in-between ways. And as cheesy as it sounds, it really is all about the journey. This is a quick little mood board of some of the spaces that we've occupied over the past little while. We're constantly in motion and constantly learning while we're at it. So I wanted to share less of what is a roadmap, because really what I have learned is that that just simply doesn't exist. We all ask, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? But what I've learned is that those get thrown out the window so quickly, especially when we have curveballs like the pandemic that are thrown at us. But it's really about building this foundation that allows you to make decisions and make choices when you're faced with these kind of forks that come along the road, that'll allow you to make those decisions that are going to shape whatever opportunities you take. So a quick story time. This is my beautiful family. This was in 2020, right before the pandemic started. And my parents run a company together, much like my partner and I. They've run it together for 30 years, based in Ottawa. The connections abound. But they are on the brink of retirement, and they had been planning for this exit, basically putting into place a successor who would take over the company in their absence so that they could slowly but surely inch their way into retirement. This had been like a 10-year process of getting somebody up to speed with taking over this company for them, and someone that had been in their lives for a really long time. So anyways, they aren't fully retired yet, but it is time to celebrate my dad's impending, exit from this company. So we decided to plan a dream trip to South Africa to celebrate. Safari, whole family's going, it was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime. So we arrive and we're 2 days into our trip, and I get a text message that's from my dad's or my parents' right-hand woman. And it basically says, can you find your dad? I can't reach him. And so track him down, you get a call. I hear from downstairs in our Airbnb, like just what I can only describe as like grief coming through the phone. And my parents had learned that their successor that they had planned for had passed away in his son's bedroom from a heart attack at age 45. So immediately you're faced with decisions. This entire plan that you've made for your life just gets thrown away in front of you. So watching my parents have to, in real time, be like, what do we need to do here? We're like, obviously in the very small way, they'd just flown there. We are like, 2 days worth of travel into this dream trip. And watching my dad make this decision to be like, I have to be there for my team right now. I'm going to fly back home, and us, band together to help get the airplane tickets, get him back to where he needed to be. It was the biggest lesson I have ever felt in real time. Like the fact that the map that you lay out for yourself just isn't going to go as planned. It's very, very rare that, it's just putting one step in front of the other and taking you to where you need to be. It's all about these foundational experiences, principles, understanding and learning through osmosis, like what you genuinely believe in, that allow you to make those really, really hard choices, and just know what to do in these experiences where no one's trained up for this. No one's trained to know what to do when something like this happens. So anyways, I have really found that what has helped me is this idea of compass points and having something to guide me when I'm faced with choices like this, because I know if, all of us were creatives or consider ourselves to be somewhat creative, decision-making, I know for me, has been one of the most difficult parts of running a company. I have to make decisions every single day. And if I could just like put my hand down and not be part of like the voting committee, I absolutely would. I hate doing it. But what has allowed me to make these choices, whether it's an opportunity that we're saying yes or no to, whether it's unfortunately letting somebody go that isn't working out, whether it's, a really tricky or sticky moment with a client that we have to deal with. These are the things that have helped kind of guide me and guide my decision-making. So the first one, I'm wording this, leave them better than you found them. So one of our kind of core principles at Sophomore is all about betterment. It's why our name is Sophomore, we're constant learners. But it's this idea of asking ourselves, like, can we genuinely make this client, person, job, can we leave it better than when we found it? Are we the right people to do this? This is a beautiful meme from one of my favorite movies, Devil Wears Prada. But the whole idea here is that when faced with a decision, we try to weigh whether we are the actual people for that job, and can we end it, or whenever everything ends at a certain day, when a person leaves your company, when you cut ties with a client, are we going to leave them better than when we found them? So my example of this is our client Milk Up. So I'm not sure any Torontonians, if you've seen kind of our activations over the city over the course of the past 2 years, but this is a company that is run by the dairy farmers of Ontario. So fast forward or rewind a year ago, we got an RFP, which is a request for proposal to work with the dairy farmers of Ontario. My inner compass was basically saying, like, I don't know how I feel about this. There's like a game-changing amount of money on the table here. What do my personal values, what do I think about the dairy industry? Why we chose to do this project was because, one, we weighed whether, are they going to go and just get another agency? Probably yes. If we say no to this, what is that actually going to do, inform, or affect about this company, and what's going to be the outcomes of it? We decided internally that we were like, I think that if we can band together, I think we can leave this brand better than when we found it. I think we can maybe make an impact on the inner workings of the dairy farmers of Ontario and open their eyes into things like the reasons why people are struggling with the dairy industry right now. Because of this, we ended up taking the job, and 2 years into it, I can genuinely say that after building up this trust with the client and doing a lot of really fun work along the way, we have their ear, and we're able to actually tell them things like, we don't want to put out this Pride post unless you guys do something about it. You have the funds, let's talk about it. Let's have this conversation. And these are the things that I mean by leaving them better than when we found them, without being too obviously holier than thou. I don't know, what's quote unquote better, but I do know that this company has resources and they have some room for improvement. And if we can get them just a little bit, just move that compass point ever so slightly towards the better, then I think that we've done our job at the end of the day. The second one is show ugly work. So I know the word ugly internally has not resonated because we have a lot of sensitive creatives who are designers and everything is beautiful, but much like babies, we know that some of them are just straight up ugly. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so showing your ugly work is important. It just means showing work in progress early and often, and it just means seeking feedback. It's been one of the hardest things for me because I know as creatives, we can be defensive, we can be a little bit too protective of our work when it comes to this is my art project, this is my baby. I have found that, especially working with a lot of junior creatives, there's a tendency to wait for this drum roll please, ta-da moment of showing people a finished product, showing people something that you've beautifully designed and you've spent 80 hours working on this thing. But a lot of the time, by the time you show that product, it's too late. It's too late to course correct. You've missed some type of, nuance in the brief. And because we all know creative is extremely subjective, it's a lot is dependent on taste and what people like. Do I like this song? Do I like this color? Do I have a weird, hatred of some, word that is very prominently featured in your creative work? The earlier you know this stuff, the better work that you can do down the road. And it just comes from shedding that ego and being okay with saying, hey, this is a rough draft. This is a work in progress. Here's where I'm at. Let's course correct as needed. It's something that has been really humbling, I think, for our company, especially when we have gone to, when we're finding that there's either tension working with clients or on a project where we're something doesn't feel 100% right. It feels like there's an elephant in the room here. We have really shifted our gears to sending, feedback forms, having one-on-one calls and just saying, hey, what's up? What do we need? And what we've learned is that it's usually something that's very achievable to fix. It's usually something that's stemming from a personal place with these people. They're scared for their jobs. They have things going on in their workplaces that we just genuinely don't know about. So seeking feedback early and often, showing that ugly work. The antithesis of showing ugly work is what I get all the time, which is the mood board effect. We are so inundated, Instagram, Pinterest, by the same types of imagery, by the same types of verbiage, by the same types of music, that it's really easy to subconsciously recreate the same thing over and over again and think that it is good because you've seen it a bunch of times before, but you actually don't even know that you've seen it that many times and you're just recreating what you've seen already. So this is something that I try to kind of course correct when it comes to showing early work and showing that ugly work. I have an article later on that talks about the mood board effect, but it is very prevalent right now. Third one, so priority is a singular word. This has been really, really tricky for me personally, because I have very scatterbrained focuses. I want to do so many things so often, and I'm sure anyone that calls themselves a creative can empathize with that. Christine, who's on this call, who has been my right-hand woman for a while now, has made these beautiful priority matrices, which has really helped my partner Kanan and I focus in on what is the actual priority this week, today, this hour, so that it is one thing that we are focusing on that we can actually kind of see through to fruition. This doesn't mean that you don't have other tasks on your plate. It just means that they can fall into this not urgent but important quadrant, rather than this like urgent and important, this is what my focus is going to be for this week. We've come a long way, because this top right hand quadrant was jam-packed with stuff prior to months ago, but it really has helped me see things come into fruition rather than just like sitting in this urgent quadrant forever and ever. The last one is pain plus reflection equals progress. This is a quote from Ray Dalio, a really amazing, speaker and thinker and writer. But this whole idea is that, to me, this means it's okay to make mistakes, but it's not okay to not learn from them. Because if we have these pains, these failures, these mistakes, but we don't reflect and we don't actually take the time to sit in that pain and sit and think about what we can do better next time, it's really easy just to redo that mistake over and over and over again. It's something I've seen a lot. It's something I've done a lot personally. This is something that I'm constantly striving to do. But it's also, to me, it's about this like gut instinct, this idea that a gut instinct isn't some kind of innate thing that you have. It's actually just the aggregation of all of the experiences, mistakes, failures, all of the things that you've done. So that gut instinct is something to listen to, because it's probably telling you, I've seen this before. I've seen this, whatever that is, this play about us from Euphoria. Like, I've seen this play before. Sometimes it's really easy to put those horse blinders on and just continue down that same road. But the idea of pain plus reflection equals progress is really resonant to me. A quick story along those lines is my baby Good Weekend Co. So back in time, I was at my 9-to-5 job like 7 years ago or something. And I started an Instagram account at the heyday of Instagram from my desk. And it was basically just featuring cool places to visit within a 3-hour radius of Toronto. And this whole idea stemmed from, I grew up in Ottawa. I went to the cottage every single weekend. Being in Toronto, and especially being without a car for a really long time in Toronto, I wasn't doing those things as often. And I was really missing that, the forest bathing, the escape from the concrete jungle. So this Instagram account really took off organically. People really liked it, and it slowly grew. It was 10,000 followers, then 20,000 followers. And all of a sudden, I was really enjoying working and getting invited to all these places and going and seeing things. It was like a weird, influencer moment that I did not expect or plan for. Fast forward to the pandemic, and our revenue stream was completely shut down. We were basically taking affiliate bookings from Airbnb, hotels, etc. And then all of a sudden, not only did Airbnb shut down its affiliate program, but the hotels were not being booked. So all of a sudden we go from, this incremental gains place to nothing. We had to pivot. So we made sandals. It's a story for another day. We won a contest with a fashion design company based in Vancouver, and we decided to make sandals and sell them. Anyways, I think looking back, it's this whole idea that I can focus on where this business was, where this idea was, and what the pure core of this whole thing began as. But at the end of the day, I really have to take a look and say, how many hours is this burning? Much of my team's time, how much of my time is this actually worth it at the end of the day? So I don't have an answer for you yet, but this is my current kind of dilemma when it comes to being faced with, letting go letting go of your babies sometimes. Quick recap. And I know we're running out of time, but this is a little bit of extra credit. These are just some books that I personally love and some articles that I've been reading recently. This one in the bottom left, if anyone does have that kind of people pleaser mentality that they're struggling with, highly, highly recommend The Myth of the Nice Girl. Pushover, ineffective, weak, mediocre, people pleaser, bland. It's the whole idea that you kind of push those things to the side and how to become a boss while still being a person that you like at the end of the day. So that's that. I just wanted to give a quick shout out that we are hiring right now for a bunch of different roles in the creative and social space specifically. So careers@wearesophomore.com if you are interested or know someone that is. And that's it.
Ooh, oh my gosh, Chelsey, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Let's show a big round of applause. And I want to also pin you. How do I do this? There we go. Thank you so much, Chelsey. We have some time for some questions. So if anyone has any questions for Chelsey in the chat, please put them in. Oh, that was amazing. So much to digest. Thank you so much. I guess I can start you off with a question. Yes. Oh my gosh. Let's see all the love though first. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So much. Thanks so much, Chelsey. Okay. I will ask you this. So throughout your journey, is there a moment that you were very like you were so excited about something you got that it just changed the path of how like your direction that you were going in? Like, is there a standout moment or a few?
Oh, so many. I feel like a couple of the ones that stand out are, I mean, there's the monetary ones, the ones that are like, I see to me, like, the opportunity to get a contract that can change the course of our business and our team's, directions, and what we're able to do with that have been very like, do we take it? Do we not take it? How hard do we fight for this? Those have been like major kind of learnings and kind of core moments that have shaped the course of our business and company. For me, I think it's a lot about like so what I see as like my personal fork in the road is like staying the course versus doing what I like call more like passion projects and hobbies, because I do really love writing. I love screenwriting. I loved working as like a freelance writer, but it takes a absolute ton of time and energy and mental clarity to be able to do that. So to me, like the fork in the road has always been, do you put your head down and focus on one thing, i.e. the business and what is working? Or where do you allow yourself time to really like invest in hobbies and see where that can go? So those have been like the big kind of course corrections, and like for the foreseeable future, definitely staying the course with like from that business minded centric place, but also carving out that time to really like explore hobbies has been something that I've been hoping to do more of.
I love that. I love that. And we have a question from Cassandra. She's curious what your biggest learning outcome or pivot from the Milk Up campaign was.
Oh my gosh, so many learnings. This was honestly such a fun project. They're truly a great client to work with. So basically where we started from was this brief of like, make milk cool again for Gen Z. What we started with absolutely nothing. They're not on this call. We started with absolutely nothing. So we really had to build kind of like really dive in and dig into what wasn't working. Like, why does Gen Z hate dairy? What are their, why are they so kind of alt milk? Why are they such alt milk lovers? And understand kind of what that is. And then really make a decision about, yes, we can double down. We can do ads. We can do, we can make cool looking ads, or we can say that's not going to work. They can see as many ads as you throw at them, but it's not going to change their deep-seated frustrations with it. So where we started from with that was, I think Nisha might be on this call, but she came up with the brilliant idea of doing a post to pay pop-up. So we basically built this store on Queen West that was completely outfitted with like local makers that existingly use dairy. So like a really cool ice cream vendor, donuts, what did we have? Like iced coffees, all of these things. And then bolstered with kind of lifestyle stuff. And to be able to get these goods, you had to post to pay. So it was kind of this viral social media moment because people were posting to check out of this store. And it really took off. So this summer we're doing a market. So we've done Toronto and Ottawa so far, and we're doing Kingston, Hamilton, and London for the rest of the summer. And it's like a big post to pay farmers market.
That is so cool and so like innovative. I don't think weren't you guys the first to do that too in Ontario, or at least like I've never seen that before.
Yeah, we got picked up by ABC San Diego, which was a wild moment, just because people were like, I don't know, it is very like Web3 social currency kind of thing, but it's just really, yeah, it was really fun.
That is so cool. And sorry, JCC, did you have a question?
Yeah. I have a quick question. Yeah. So, you know, you're talking about like show your ugly work. And I was thinking like, so how do you manage like the honest feedback, you know, and also how do you manage like your own honesty towards yourself being like, yeah, you know what, this is probably isn't the best concept, or like, I think I need to go for a walk around the block a couple of times so that I can actually fully digest this because something about this doesn't sit right. So like, how do you manage that honest feedback, especially when you think your ugly work is beautiful work?
Such a good question. So something I've really tried, I do not get this right all the time, but rooting feedback in fact is really important. Like trying to put all of your biases and tastes to the wayside, because really like, we don't even know where these tastes come from. Like what I like is not just like homogeneously liked across the board. So for example, if someone's showing me something very visual and I can't put my finger on what I don't like about it or what it's not resonating, going back to, you know, starting from like where our strategy was, laddering it back up to saying, okay, we wanted to do this. We wanted to target, you know, millennial women with this campaign. Something about this feels like it's not going to land with it. Let's look at our references. Let's try to figure out together kind of why this isn't hitting the mark. But it's the same thing as when our designers like present, for example, color palettes. I'm like, name those colors something that is relevant to the campaign itself so that it becomes less taste driven and more like we eyedropper tooled this blue from the Lake Huron. You know, it's something that is rooted in actual genuine fact rather than tastes that came out of kind of nowhere, is really helpful. But when it comes to feedback, it's just always about, if I ever have something that is personal, like I am not digging this color, like I don't feel like this is working, try to be extremely clear about like, this is coming from my personal taste place. So take it with that grain, but always kind of figuring out the ways that we can bring it back to like in undeniable truth as much as possible.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I guess like that sort of mentality also makes sure everything maintains streamlined and on brand. So like it's such a, it's honestly such a no-brainer answer, but I'm like, but yeah, sometimes it does take a little bit of working to get to that point.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, I don't know the answer. Like, I feel like there's an expectation if you are more like of a creative leader that you know the answer. You can look at something and you're like, oh, this is what's not working about it. Like that's unicorn capabilities. It's more about it's the process again. Like it's going through it, asking questions, saying, why did you make this decision that you made? If it's a decision that was made from like a pure place of taste, it's usually we can go further with it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, as much as we'd all love to be unicorns, unfortunately, not all of us are. But yeah, thank you so much, Chelsey. This session has been absolutely fantastic. That's all the time we have for questions.